All right, so welcome back to the Sales Show. I'm really excited about today's episode because we talk a lot about business and building your business, but I'm a huge believer that sometimes business can also lead to burnout. So I have brought the beautiful Philly in that talks a lot about burnout, and it is her absolute specialty. So let me introduce you to her. Philippa is a co-founder of a multi-award-winning health practice, Chris and Philly Functional Medicine, and the author of Ending Body Burnout. She's an accredited clinical nutritionist, functional medicine practitioner, coach, and trauma therapist. She also has a PhD scholar and regularly featured in the media such as 9.com.au, Forbes, and Body and Soul. Today, with her husband, Chris, Philippa has worked with over 2,500 burnt out clients over the past 25 plus years. That's a lot of people with a lot of burnout. So let's dive in. Tell us a little bit about you, Philly.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Marie. I'm excited to be here.
Pleasure.
So, well, I don't know. I think you gave me the professional about me spiel.
Yeah.
I'm a mom. I've got 2 kids. I've got a business. I live in Tassie. I'm freezing my butt off at the moment because it's like really, really cold.
Yeah, love it. Love it. And so tell me how you ended up in your field, I think is a great place to start.
Yeah, cool. So that would go back to maybe even childhood, but I'll start after my first baby. So our oldest is almost 12. So 12 years ago, I had quite a traumatic birth, which resulted in a bladder not working. I had to have a catheter in my wee hole for like 3-4 months after having Poppy. And I ended up with a lot of complications in and out of hospital, lots of antibiotics, chronic constipation. And then month by month, as Poppy got older, I actually got worse. So I was looking at my sisters and other friends who kind of bounced back after having kids, like month by month, they got better. But every month I was just developing more and more weird health issues. So like there was postnatal anxiety, depression for sure, but then gut stuff started showing up, hormone imbalances, chronic pain in the body, histamine intolerance, chemical sensitivities, sleep issues, really low immunity. I was catching all the colds and flus and infections. And when she turned 1, I literally felt like an 80-year-old.
Yeah.
And I got really stuck with just like standard medicine. My GP was lovely, but at the end of the day, she's like, your results are fine. This is just part of being a mum.
Heard that before.
No, actually it's not. And so I read a book called Deep Nutrition, which talked about you can heal your body using healthy whole foods. I'm like, what? This is mind blowing. It was back then anyway.
Yeah.
So I started eating better, dialing in lifestyle, started feeling better, got pregnant with baby number 2. It was a cesarean this time. I chose that because I was still very traumatized from the first one. And lovely birth. And because I felt so good and Elsie was a great sleeper, I just dove straight back into business pretty much like a week after having her, really. And that was part of my burnout pattern as well. So even before I had our first baby, I was a massive overworker, overachiever, perfectionist, never had a break, struggled to relax. And so those patterns popped up again straight after having Elsie, and then all the health issues did too.
I'm sure no one that is listening to this can relate to any of that, right?
It is the pandemic.
Yes, I put my hand up. I definitely have been guilty of that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was really perplexed. I'm like, I'm eating well, I'm living healthy, what's going on? And then I discovered functional medicine, which I know that you know a lot about it because you've worked through some functional medicine stuff. But for those who don't, it sits in the natural therapies, but it's going beyond just guesswork based on symptoms and like applying a supplement or a diet to symptoms. It's really looking at, let's run some lab tests that go beyond what GPs and medical specialists test for. And let's actually look deeper into what body systems are out of whack. And I discovered heaps of things: parasites, yeast infections, adrenal fatigue, low dopamine, detox pathways not working very well. Started working on that side of things therapeutically. And again, got better, felt great until COVID came. 2020, and all my health issues came back again due to the high amounts of stress, and this time nothing physical budged the symptoms. So that's where we started, or I started looking into deeper root causes around the unconscious core beliefs I had about myself, which were driving my busy perfectionism, overdoing, and really high stress patterns.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned, like, you and I have had conversations about my experience from a functional medicine practitioner type space, but I found the same. I'd go to GPs or my normal GP, and I had a 4 year uh, 4 year journey of it where they just kept telling me, "Oh, your bloods look normal. It's just part of being a mum. It's a part of running businesses and busy life and all of this," where I knew deep down inside me that something else was going on.
Mm.
So, so grateful. I didn't even know about functional medicine until I was having a chat to another business owner. And she was like, "Yeah, no, that's not normal. You should go and see this lady." And I was like, "Okay." Like, I've seen everyone else over the past 4 years. Why not go and see someone else?
Yeah.
And yeah, she was an absolute game changer. But I know for a lot of business owners, we feel like, or some people will say that they feel like exhaustion or being tired is just a normal part of life, a normal part of business. Tell me why that's not actually true or should be people's norm.
Yeah. So yeah, so it is the norm, but it's not normal. And like personally, so throughout my health journey and the 3 different ways I started like digging deeper into my health issues, when I got to the deeper, what we call metaphysical root causes, so all the baggage in the unconscious mind, I realized how closely connected it was to me showing up in business as well. So to give like a really practical example, something that I discovered, baggage inside my system, was that I had this deep-seated belief that I was weak and incapable. And I created that as like a little kid with limited capacity to make any other meaning. And then over my years, so even if I look back to teenage years, that's really when my like overworking pattern started. I started getting good grades, and then I'm like, oh, this feels good. People are like praising me and like, okay, maybe this is like how I feel worthwhile in the world. And so I started developing all those patterns even early on as a young teenager. So that was affecting my physical health because it was literally keeping me in fight flight response and breaking down body systems. But on the business side of things, I was working like a crazy woman, but not really getting anywhere because my work was driven from a place of fear, not flow.
Yeah.
And that's where exhaustion happens when building a business. So it's like when you're out of alignment with yourself, when your work patterns, your desires to grow your business, make money is coming from a place of fear because you don't feel like you're good enough. That might look like weak, incapable, unworthy, undeserving, unlovable, stupid, dumb, different. Then your whole system, like every part of your self, your nervous system, unconscious mind, every cell in the body, feels like it's not safe to be you. And so then you're overcompensating, trying to hide or prove otherwise. And that's what is exhausting. And then that's where people let like lifestyle and self-care and rest and recovery sleep, and they'll just like tunnel vision into, I got to keep working. I got to make this work. Because if
Keep
I don't,
hustling.
yeah,
Yeah.
if I don't, everyone's going to discover that I'm no good. I'm a
Yeah.
failure.
And I see this happen a lot with business owners from a sales perspective, where it doesn't matter what they price their products and services. It doesn't matter how much they push them, how hard they push it. If it's not in an alignment with them, with their ideal clients, who it is that they're wanting to be, and the reasons why they started their business in the first place, it's really freaking hard to grow a business in that space.
Yeah.
And I know you talk a lot about the burnout, the overwhelm and exhaustion and stuff like that. How do you see that show up for business owners, knowing that it's the underlying baggage stuff rather than just normal life in inverted commas?
How does someone discover if that's what's
Or
going on?
how do you know whether it's just normal tired fatigue versus underlying stuff?
Okay.
Yeah.
Such a good question, because so we work off the presupposition that health is the default. Like your body craves health. Health is the default.
Yeah.
When you can take the handbrake off and allow yourself to flourish, health is just the default. So exhaustion and tiredness would not be part of the picture at all if someone had the handbrake off. The handbrake stays on when the deepest fear about yourself is still in your system. So if there is exhaustion, tiredness, there's baggage. Like that's it's as clear and simple as that. There's something still underneath that needs to be brought into the light and made a choice about. Do you want to keep it or do you want to let it go? Do you want to reprogram it, clear it? Because a lot of the times these deeper things that are stuck in our system are trying to protect us. Like it's all about safety. Our nervous system is designed for either like survival and safety. So our system's always scanning, is it safe? Is it safe? Is it safe to be in this world? Is it safe to be me? Is it safe to make money? Is it safe to do sales? Is it safe to be a mum and a business owner? And if there's like a great fear that you have about yourself that you don't even know is there, but it's in your system, then it's exhausting. Like it literally burns your body systems out. You go into adrenal fatigue, your neurotransmitters get burnt out, and then that affects your energy.
Holy cow, like that is epic, right? Like that is, I would be interested to see what other people are thinking when they're listening to this. But what comes up for me is sometimes I'm probably not even aware that there's stuff underneath that needs to be brought up. And I know you and I have had conversations about it in the past, but really uncovering that hidden unconscious core beliefs and how important it is to keep moving through them, because it's not like you clear it once and everything's fine and dandy, right? Like it's not like you go to the gym once or you do some exercise and you're fit and healthy and happy, right? Something that's constantly needs to be worked on. Is that right?
Yeah, so and that's a really good point for people to understand too, is that for your level of growth, you only need to clear the deep stuff once. But the moment that you step into a new level of growth, which entrepreneurs always are, unless they really hit like a nice kind of like comfy space in their business and they're like, this is gold, don't want to earn anymore, don't want any more clients, just want to like maintain it. But, you know, probably most of your listeners are like, you know, they've got goal posts to go to the next level. Yeah. So anytime you move into a new level of growth, which is unknown, unfamiliar, your nervous system is like, oh, what's happening here? Is it safe? Like the body is always asking, is this safe to press the go button to succeed? Yeah. And generally when you move into a new level of growth, something will surface, whether it's like a belief or a past distressing event or a trauma that has been fine sitting there until you reach that new level of growth. So yeah, the work kind of continues, but it's actually a sign of progress, not you've gone backwards.
Love it. And so how do those signs show up in our body in regards to like the burnout and the unconscious stuff that's going on?
Yeah. So, well, like when I think about body burnout, there's three main symptoms that show up in the body. So energy, mood, gut issues, fatigue, energy imbalances, brain fog, sleep issues. Mood would look like anxiety, depression, or maybe you're not like clinically diagnosed with those, but you're noticing that you're not responding to stresses appropriately the way that you used to, or mood swings, irritable with the kids. And gut issues is quite common as well, because when you're in a fight, flight, chronic stress state, your digestion and your organs basically switch off and they're not functioning very well. So people can start showing up with bloating, diarrhea, constipation, all those types of things. And then other inflammatory symptoms. So a lot of people start developing what we call weird health issues. It's like autoimmune conditions and pain in the body that's from an injury, and headaches and migraines. So that's how it shows up physically, because your unconscious mind talks to us in different ways. And the easiest way it can grab our attention when it doesn't feel safe is through pain, through the physical body, and mentally as well. So that's like anxiety, depression. And so when that happens, like there's a conversation to be had with yourself.
Yeah, but a lot of people go and think, I need to go and get a massage. I'll just take some painkillers and push through it. I'm a huge believer. Well, it's been something that has developed over the years, but to actually stop and listen to your body and check in and see what's being uncovered. Tell me about your experience with burnout, because I know I've had mine, but I'd love to hear how other business owners realize that level of burnout and where they go, this is more than just there's a lot happening and it's a bit full on at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I've had those 3 pivotal burnout moments. In COVID 2020 was when I was really intentionally running a business. Previous to that, I was kind of becoming a practitioner and I was a sole trader and I was kind of just fluffing around doing what I loved and like telling people about what I do. But I didn't really understand what it meant to actually run and build a business. And when COVID happened, so 2020, my husband, who is the co-founder of our practice, he is a mindset coach, NLP practitioner. We'd previously been talking about him joining my functional medicine practice. Back then he had a gym, and he was a personal trainer while also doing coaching and stuff with people. And I'm like, wouldn't it be nice if we work together? Because I'm noticing that there are heaps of clients, when I give them the perfect treatment protocol, it's like, take these supplements, do this diet, sleep, exercise. I'm like, only 10% of them can actually do it. Like, what's going on? People obviously need some help with their mind. So I invited him into our practice. And this is the new level of growth that came up too. So all of a sudden, Chris, my husband, who's very visionary, he's just like physically big and tall and loud.
He's when I saw Chris, I was like, who is this guy? Like he's
like a Viking.
Yeah, he is a total Viking. Perfect way to put it. Absolutely.
And he's a big risk taker and he doesn't have a lot of, like he definitely didn't and still doesn't have a lot of the insecurities that I had back then around what if it fails? Then I'm a failure. He's like, if it fails, it doesn't matter. We just try something different. It's all good. I had heaps of money issues back then too. So COVID 2020 brought, like, for 2 reasons. Chris joined the business and all of a sudden he wanted to do all these things. And I was freaking out that we'd lose all our clients because, he wanted to like actually run like a course and a program and not just do pay per consult and like, let's make this profitable and like get remarkable results for clients. So I was freaking out because I'm like, no one will want to buy that. They just want to pay like $30 for a consult. And the other thing too was like financially, for probably a lot of people, there was a lot of uncertainty. So lockdown happened. They hadn't brought in JobKeeper and like the business stimuluses yet. So I developed full-on insomnia within the first week of lockdown.
Wow.
So I was just freaking out that we would lose everything, not just our business. I was so scared that Chris was going to break the business, lose all the clients, but that, we'd lose the house. I wouldn't be able to feed the kids. So like worst case scenario stuff. And that was a really challenging and very high stress moment, or like even 18 months of my life, because my body was clearly speaking to me that I felt unsafe. Like I developed all the same symptoms, nothing budged it, supplements, diets, it just stayed there. And I just knew, I just had this feeling that I still haven't got to the root. And this is directly related to our business. And also we just continually we were continually backing up or hitting a ceiling of financial growth that we just couldn't break through. And so burnout, was happening for sure. But then it was also an opportunity for me to ask a lot of questions, like hard questions for myself. And back before COVID happened, I actually thought there was nothing wrong with my mind. I'm like, I'm the type of person who can take a protocol. I can eat no sugar for 6 months. Like, give me something to do and I'll do it. Like I was a massive doer and I would just do things. But I realized that there was a lot of baggage in my unconscious mind because it was literally my whole way of being was just driven from a place of fear. I don't know if that answers your question, but I think
it does. But I'm also curious. So, because we talk a lot about passing what I call the ask test from the sales perspective, assessing safety system that happens unconsciously within our body when people go to sell to us. Is this person safe? Are they trustworthy? Not even a person, sometimes it's just like an internet, like a website, or are these people going to rip me off? Am I going to get the value that I need or the outcomes that I'm wanting, and things like that? What's the difference between someone just stretching themselves out of that comfort zone, like Chris wanting to take the business that next step, and actually it being a real fear rather than a mindset stuff? Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Because that's when I realized my money stuff became very apparent during that time too. Because Chris was over here, like we shared the same bank account, the same revenue, the same mortgage, everything was the same. He was totally cool and calm and collected when it came to money and also sales, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
And so that was some of the work that I did on myself as well, because the main reason why we weren't going the next level, actually, there were a couple of reasons. One was I wasn't showing up with conviction that I'm the type of person that can actually help you get remarkable results, because I still hadn't done like the deepest root cause work on myself anyway. But also those beliefs were holding me back, because I'm like, yeah, but like deep down below, I'm actually weak and incapable. So how could you ever trust me to be your practitioner? Great results. I'll just kind of give you surface level treatment plans. Yeah, that's all I'm good for.
Yeah.
And then from so that like directly links into sales, because if you're not energetically showing up in your power, then people feel that. They might not hear it in your words, but they feel it.
Absolutely.
And the other thing was I was just petrified of putting up prices. Like I just had this deep fear that no one will buy it, and then like our business is going to go bankrupt and we're not going to make any money. But it was mostly around value. It's like, well, if I'm not valuing myself and the results that we can get our clients, then how the heck can I increase the prices? And then when it came to sales, oh my gosh, sales conversations, like my whole body was a fight flight response, as if the tiger was about to eat me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm the one selling. I'm not the one like I don't know. It was weird. I didn't really have the beliefs around like sales is greedy and sales is sleazy. I think it was more that they're going to figure out at some point that I'm a fraud, and therefore I'm sneaky trying to sell them in our program, because, what if they don't get results? Then like it's going to show something about me.
Yeah.
So I was able to really work on all of that. Like literally it was crazy. Like literally we just started making an extra 10K a month, which for us at that time was extraordinary. It was like actually 33% increase.
Love it. Love it.
And we hadn't changed any business strategy at that point. It was literally just me being able to sit on the other side to a client, hand on heart, saying, I know I can help you get amazing results.
Yeah.
And you're the perfect person for this. And then there were some people that weren't, and I'd kind of be like, yeah, look, probably this option would be better, or go with this person instead.
And that's what I say to people. My body talks to me if I jump on a call with someone, whether it's over the phone, whether it's on a Zoom, or even if I meet people in real life, old school real life, talking to people, I can feel in my body when it's a really good fit, and I can feel when it's not. And I feel like over the years, it's safe for me to say, it's not like we're not a good fit for each other, without the scarcity of like the next client isn't coming or the next sale's not coming through, because energetically I'm aligned to what it is that I'm doing. And it's like, this feels good. They're the right people. I know I can get those results, and my inner core believes it.
Yes.
So
and then like we're always co-regulating with people. So then that person who you are selling or serving, really is like what selling is, the right person, they'll feel that too. And it's like, oh, this is a safe space. It's unlikely that they can actually name it, but
articulate it. Yeah.
And
that's what I say to people. If you're not passing that safety system, people they won't know why it doesn't feel good. They'll just go, I don't know, something's just not right. And they'll go and either ghost you, not return emails, or just give you what I call like a smoke screen of like, oh, it's not the right time or money or whatever that is. But unless we're passing that safety system subconsciously for people and showing them that we are safe and that we are a good option for them, if it is a good fit, then it's really, really hard to sell in that space. So,
Yeah.
how do you feel like burnout affects people's ability to build a business? Because I know from my past experience, when I've been in that burnout or what I call that meh phase of like, oh, everything just feels really hard. You don't want to go out and sell stuff. You don't want to show up. You don't want to talk to people. Like, it's hard. How do you see that showing up for other businesses?
Yeah. So, well, yeah, if someone's burnt out, they're feeling exhausted, generally exhausted. So then your capacity is so much lower. You probably just want to do like the bare minimum to get by to pay the bills. Brain fog is really common. So sometimes people might physically feel okay from an energy point of view, but their brain is just foggy and you can't make decisions. You can't retain a lot of information. It's pretty much like you are swimming through the ocean trying to run your business, and that is very slow.
That's hard. Yep.
And then like the mental health side of things is huge with burnout as well, because burnout's essentially like chronic stress that hasn't been resolved and you haven't had a break from it for a very long time. So if you're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, fight flighty, stress response is going nuts, it's not safe. Like we use that term a lot. It's not safe to run a business. There's always something that's going to, like your whole system is just expecting something bad to happen. And so then you're making fear-based decisions rather than ones that feel more in alignment and have purpose. And then other people can, they might have been in the anxiety stage for so long and now it's just shut down. It's like, you know what, can't stay in that space any longer. I just literally have to shut down. And that's where low motivation, you just want to stay in bed all day. You don't want to have conversations with people. Staff is irritating. Everything feels really heavy. And then even like so energy, mood, gut, even gut issues, body pain, autoimmune conditions, like it's really hard. It's really hard to work, let alone run a business.
Yeah.
Feeling crappy.
I used to think that like when I was in that burnout mode that maybe I just wasn't the type of person that should be running a business. I just wasn't cut out for it. I wasn't cut out for the hustle life, all this rubbish that went through my head. But what was really going on was that I wasn't listening to my body or dealing with the stuff that was coming up. So what do you suggest to people that do have things that are coming up for them or are not even at that burnout stage? Because I'd love people to not to get to that burnout stage. But how do we, like, what suggestions or advice can you give to people around what they can do before they get to that point?
Yeah. Your body is your compass. So there'll be really early subtle signs before someone gets to body burnout where you really like capacity is really low now. So I'd be just really mindful on those early signs that you might be feeling. And those early signs might literally be like, oh, I'm just not waking up as like blingy and refreshed as I used to, or I'm kind of struggling to fall asleep a bit, but they're still sleeping. Or like, oh, my digestion isn't the best. It will be those like the symptoms that I was talking about, but they're more subtle. They're kind of like the ones that a lot of people ignore.
Yeah.
To
the normal ones in inverted commas.
Yeah, the normal ones. So to prevent getting into like a deeper state of body burnout, listen in and tune into those symptoms and then just ask the question, what for? Because at this point in the puzzle, it's generally a message from your unconscious state and nervous system. You might not yet have developed full on what we call body system burnout, where you're in adrenal fatigue, you've got parasites now, you need some therapeutic support. Now that's a simple question to ask, what for, but it can be really hard and challenging because not a lot of people are ready for the answer. So if you choose to ask the question, you must be ready for the answer.
Yeah.
And, the answer will probably, like if we're talking about busy and like someone's listening to this and they're like, oh yeah, I'm feeling maybe a bit burnout, it'll probably be some simple stuff like slow down, have a break,
Yes.
connect
Yes.
with your family, maybe drink some water. All those things that we know are good for us.
Get off the screens, go for a walk, move your body.
Yeah. Yeah. And if
Yeah.
you get access to that information and you're like, yep, I know it, but you're not then actually doing it, then that's where there's like every behavior has a belief underneath. So there's a deeper belief under there that where it's actually not safe to be well.
I went through that after having mold poisoning. It was like I had to do a huge identity check-in, because it was like, who am I without the mold poisoning? Like, I couldn't use that as an excuse of why I wasn't stepping into my business in a bigger like in a bigger way. It was like, oh, the reason why my business isn't where it's at is because I've had mold poisoning for 4 years. And then once it all got cleared out and the functional medicine practitioner and I were working really closely together, I was like, well, holy cow, I can't use that anymore. Like,
Yeah.
and even just talking about it now, like I'm clammy, my palms are sweating, like it was like, I remember it being such a big thing of like, wow, who am I? And what does it look like to be able to step into this space of it's okay for me to be a business owner, it's okay for me to be successful. So
That's huge, Marie. And that's the number one reason why people don't get well.
yeah.
Because it's actually safer to be unwell, and it's safer to have, whether it's mold illness or an autoimmune condition like fatigue. But then to be able to be confronted with that valuable piece of information and have a choice, it's like, okay, well, do I want to stay here, or am I going to step into this thing?
Yeah. And I always question myself, or when I do my journaling, I think, what's stopping me? Like, if everyone else can have it, why can't I?
Yeah.
Why is it okay for some people to earn millions of dollars and run a really successful business and have a happy life and happy everything, but it's not okay for me? Like, what comes up in that, and keep continuously working through that. What do you feel like if people are saying that, oh, they're not really feeling stressed, or, this is just part of running a business and part of the day-to-day full kind of mentality, what would you say to people that maybe don't even acknowledge that they're in that stress mode?
Have a check-in with your stories.
Yeah.
Because that's a common, they feel like it's truth and it's the reality, but it's actually just the story and the narrative that you've created for yourself.
Yeah.
Now, nothing's bad until it is. So like if someone is waking up and they feel great and they're working 14 hours a day and they're like living life and they feel awesome, and other areas of their life aren't falling apart, like their health, their relationships, their family, whatever, then it's like, cool. Like who
you.
who am I, and who is anyone to say that that's a bad thing?
Yeah.
The proof is in the pudding. So when it becomes not a very resourceful way of being, it's going to show up either in the body or in an important area of your life, whether that's business, finances, relationships, your well-being.
Yeah. I also was really guilty of saying to people, I don't feel stressed. And people used to say, well, maybe you've just got a high level of stress threshold, which was fine. But over the years, hubby and I have had really, really great conversations where sometimes he can see that there's things going on for me that I haven't been able to. And so he'd be like, you need to just go and chill for a minute. And I'm like, yep, cool. I get it. There's no point in trying to convince him that I'm not, because he can already see it. Sometimes other people can see our stuff better than we can see our own, And so what would you, like, if we spoke about self-care, right? Because a lot of people talk about, oh, you need to have self-care. And then as sometimes women, we sit down and go, right, we need to have self-care. Let's go and get a massage. Let's go and get our toes done. Let's go and take a weekend away. And then we come back and think, that didn't fix it. What does true self-care mean and look like, and how do we know that it's actually working for us?
I love that question. So true self-care is when there's deep self-permission. And self-permission can only come from your unconscious mind when it's safe to succeed. So I was in that pattern where I'm like, okay, yeah, my body's clearly talking to me. Oh gosh, I haven't had enough time off. Okay, quick, just go get a massage. It felt great during it, but the moment that I came home, open up the computer again, all the same like fight, flighty,
Yeah.
go, like busy patterns would just set straight in. And that's because it actually, like, it comes back to the deeper beliefs again. So if you have still got baggage that needs to be addressed in this season or level of your growth, then it will never be safe to do self-care.
Yeah.
Especially if someone is putting worth on to their business, and that's then giving them worth for themselves as a human being.
Yeah.
So you got to do that work first. Otherwise, just forcing self-care. Like it's still nice, but it just ends up being a band-aid. It's just like a little band-aid, but it's not actually healing the deeper issue. And it's not actually really healing body systems that need to be reset and recharged as well. Because you've always got a tiger chasing you 24/7, even when you're having that massage or having the sauna or going for the walk along the beach. So when you know that you have self-permission and you're doing the self-care, well, the self-care will just come naturally as a default because you love and accept and trust yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like I can have a whole week off work and I know that like the world isn't going to fall apart.
Yes.
And you'll feel that in your body. Like you can literally just relax into being and not have like the little tiger saying all these things in the back of your mind, like, oh no, now there's like guilt, or mums too, like running a business, have this like guilt when they're working, but then guilt when they're with the kids because like, oh, but I could be doing this and this and this. So that chatter, whether it's in your mind or the tension or feeling or disease in your body, it won't be there. Like you will just feel flowy and light and free when you're running your business, when you're working on your business, and when you're self-caring yourself.
Yeah. Interestingly, so we've got another small human on the way.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have said to me, are you taking time out from the businesses? And for the first time in, so, 2 pregnancies along the way, this is the third. And in the past, it's like, well, I've got to have time off because that's what everyone's telling me to have. But this time, it's kind of being okay with it, just allowing it to flow. I don't need to be working, but if I choose to work, I can do a little bit as well. And not having to be so set around it feels completely different. And acknowledging that it's okay to be mum, it's okay to be business owner, it's okay for them to both coexist in life, has been a really beautiful realization that I've had over the past couple of months as well, which has been really cool.
So cool.
And I'd love every woman to experience that. Like no one goes into business thinking, I want burnout, I want to work extra hours, I want the stress, I want the tears, I want the less income of like, I'm earning $5 an hour because I'm busting my backside, over delivering, wanting everyone to love me and people pleasing and all that sort of stuff. No one goes into business thinking that, however it happens. And so I think the bigger picture is that self-realization, and keep constantly checking in with you, your body, where you're at, what's going on for you is really huge.
So excited for your new human to come into
your
flowy life.
I know, I can't wait. Well, it's all going flow nice at the moment. Things change, and if they do, I'm conscious of it. I'm aware of it, and I can shift and change and work on things that come up. Now, you have written a book. Tell me about your amazing book.
Yeah. So my book is Ending Body Burnout.
Yeah.
A functional medicine guide for busy women with energy, mood, and gut issues. So, I mean, it really taps into everything we've talked about today, probably more specifically on the health side of things, though. So it's broken up into 4 parts. The first part is what body systems are out of whack. So if you have burnout symptoms, there must be a body system imbalance. And then the following 3 parts really look at the root cause contributors. So the first part is all about healing the mind and going deeper to the unconscious mind, and then moving into self-care, so movement, nutrition, and good sleep. And then the third part is setting up your environment for success. So is there anything poisoning you that you can ditch out of your environment? Mold, for example.
Yeah.
And also, how can you create an environment with your family and those who you live closely with, so that they can support you in your healing journey as well, and you can actually step up and be the leader.
Yeah, awesome. Do you feel like we can do this on our own as such, or do we always need practitioners and people to help us uncover and keep working through this stuff?
Yeah, so in the book, I mean, in terms of getting access to lab testing to look at body systems, you do have to work through or with a practitioner to do that. But in the book, there's heaps of like gold nuggets that you could just start applying straight away with yourself. Depending on where someone's at in their health and if they really need like some deep healing, generally like working with a practitioner will reduce the overwhelm, because it does feel complicated. It feels overwhelming. If you've tried a bunch of stuff as well, especially if it's kind of like DIY stuff, nothing's really worked, then having someone to be able to connect the dots and help you address the deep root causes and hold you in the space of healing, because that's often why people don't. They kind of just do a little bit of surface level stuff and the unconscious state takes over and it's like, not safe to heal.
Yeah. Yeah. Seen it before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find when I have big growth, even from a business perspective, I will go and get external support to keep working through the unconscious stuff that I'm not even aware of. I remember taking on a big client. I got asked to do quite a large project, and I remember going out and talking to hubby about it, going, oh my God, I've just had this huge company inquire, and he was like, awesome. And then I was like, what if I stuff this up? Yeah. What if I'm not good enough? What if I can't deliver? What if I'm just like this small amateur person trying to fake it and put it out there? And so every time I feel that come up now, it's like, it's okay to get someone to come in and support me through that and that growth of it, because otherwise we completely shut down and go, yeah, too hard, don't want to play, feels uncomfortable, avoid.
Yeah.
And that doesn't help from a business or a health perspective.
Yeah, that was a big learning for me too, because I did try and, like, I think it was probably my money scarcity issues of like, oh no, I'll solve this on my own. I'll solve this on my own. But the moment that I invested a good amount, not just like I'll pay for a consult or two, but like a good amount.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I started healing really fast. And same applies to business as well. So I don't think I've had a gap since maybe like 2017 where I haven't had a coach, both in business, but also in health or personal development.
Yeah.
And I think that's useful for business owners to hear as well. They probably already are investing in themselves, but if you can't pay X amount for yourself and you're trying to sell that same X amount to a client or a customer lead, it doesn't, like, it's that energy thing again. It doesn't really align. Because they kind of like energetically feel that.
When I work with people, they're actually surprised sometimes when I bring in the personal development or self-reflection type stuff. And they're like, but I thought this was like sales and business strategy. And I'm like, yeah, but you are a part of this business and your energy impacts on all of that. And so I talk about going and doing CEO dates that not just that, metrics, conversion rates, all of that, and business growth, but it's also internal growth, personal development. How are you feeling in your business? What's coming up for you? What do you feel like is blocking the business growth? And they're just blown away that it's like, we need to incorporate all of this to have a happy, successful business. So,
it's the holistic approach for business, just in the same way for health.
Absolutely. So where can people get your book?
Yeah, so it's on our website, www.chrisandphilly.fm with an F. But it's also on Amazon, Book Depository. It's in some bookstores. If your local bookstore doesn't stock it, they can get it in. So it's kind of like anywhere you buy books.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining us. It has been such an eye-opener. Even though I feel like I've been on this journey for a little while, it's always good to keep checking in and refreshing and things like that. Before we jump off, if you can give us 3, maybe 5 tips of what you would say to business owners to keep themselves healthy, aligned, and on track, what would they be?
First one would definitely be like listen to your body, and
Yeah.
also a reframe that your body's not fighting against you, it's fighting for you. So a lot of the times we get like frustrated and we hate when symptoms pop up, but it's just an opportunity for inquiry. And then sit with yourself. What do you need? Like even every day waking up with the questions, what's my state? If it's negative, what do I want instead? And what do I need in the next 24 hours to receive that or to give that to me?
I love that.
And that's like a really simple thing that can prevent burnout. Like if you're really tapping into yourself, then you can do it. If someone's listening and they are feeling like they're in the depths of body burnout, and they've tried a bunch of things and they're really not getting well, I definitely recommend reaching out to a practitioner, because it doesn't have to take a long time to get well. Like it
Yeah.
literally happens fast. And that's a narrative that I find in the health industry, that a lot of people feel like healing is slow and it's hard, but that's just a belief. If you can start believing that actually, what if it could be quick and fast and easy and maybe even fun, then
Yes.
that's the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, lovely. If anyone has any questions, we will pop all Philly's details in the show notes where you can go and find her and connect with her. Purchase her book. She is absolutely brilliant at supporting business owners from a health and overall well-being perspective. So thank you so much, lovely. Until the next episode of the Sales Show, we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you.